The night the storm broke over the quiet town of Rockford, Hannah Rivers realized that some memories don't fade, they wait. They wait in the corners of your mind, in the spaces between breaths, in the shadows where your heart hides the things it never learned to let go of. And as the rain slammed against her apartment window, she understood something she had spent years denying. She could outrun a place, outrun a job, outrun a version of herself, but she could never outrun her. Not the woman whose name still lived like a soft ache inside her chest, Mara Jensen, the girl with the warm eyes and the smile that once made Hannah believe her life was finally beginning. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances in love, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these emotional stories reach more hearts. The past had returned to Hannah slowly, like a tide pulling her back to the shore she once abandoned. She had moved to Rockford 2 months earlier, desperate for a clean start, far from her old life in Arizona, far from the heartbreak she never healed from. Her job as a traveling charity coordinator finally gave her the excuse to leave, to disappear, to tell herself that distance was the medicine she needed. But even in a new state, surrounded by new people and new streets, every quiet moment carried an echo of Mara, her laughter, her warmth, her patience, her soft hand resting on Hannah's trembling one. The night everything changed between them. It had been 3 years since she last saw Mara. 3 years since that night she tried so hard to forget, the night that rewrote the shape of her heart. Hannah remembered the faint glow of streetlights, the cold air brushing against their cheeks, and the way Mara looked at her with an expression too gentle to endure. That night, Hannah finally confessed the truth she had buried for years, that she loved her, that she always had, even when fear made her pretend otherwise. And Mara, in her soft steady way, told her she felt the same. But loving Mara didn't scare Hannah. What scared her was believing she deserved to be loved back. So she pushed Mara away, convinced she wasn't ready, convinced she couldn't be enough for someone so full of light. She left town without saying goodbye, leaving only unanswered messages and a silence she carried like a wound. And now, working in Rockford, sitting alone in her apartment with the storm raging outside, she wondered if she had ruined the one love that had ever truly felt real. For years she distracted herself with work, with travel, with busyness. But the heart has a way of circling back to the places where it broke. And without warning, that place appeared again in her life, this time not as a memory, but as a person standing in front of her. Hannah didn't see it coming. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday at the community center where her team was hosting a fundraiser. The room buzzed with noise, volunteers moving back and forth with flyers and sign-in sheets. Hannah was reviewing a donation list when she heard a voice across the hall, warm, calm, familiar in a way that made her breath catch. She looked up, and everything inside her stopped. It was Mara, with her dark shoulder-length hair a little shorter than before, her posture still confident but softened by something calmer, wiser. She wore a simple navy sweater and jeans, her face glowing under the bright overhead lights. She looked older, but in a beautiful, grounded way. And when her eyes eventually landed on Hannah, the world seemed to narrow into a single heartbeat. For a moment Hannah couldn't move. She couldn't think. Her throat tightened, her hands grew cold, and guilt, raw, deep, and unhealed, spread through her like wildfire. She forced herself to stand, but her legs trembled slightly as she walked toward Mara. She didn't know what to say, how to begin, how to ask forgiveness for the kind of pain she had caused. But before she could open her mouth, Mara smiled, not the bright carefree smile Hannah remembered, but a softer, knowing one. A smile that said she understood more than she let on. Seeing Mara again awakened something in Hannah she thought she had managed to bury. The old feelings returned with almost painful clarity, tenderness, longing, regret, and something she didn't dare name yet. Over the next few days, they began crossing paths more often. Mara volunteered to help with the fundraiser. She and Hannah ended up working side by side, sharing tasks, sharing space, sharing small little moments that felt too familiar and too precious. They talked about safe things, weather, work, plans, memories of old friends, but avoided the truth sitting heavily between them. Yet every time their hands brushed accidentally, every time their eyes lingered a second too long, Hannah felt her heart unraveling. She caught herself imagining what would happen if she apologized, if she explained, if she told Mara she never stopped loving her, even when she tried, but guilt held her back. Fear held her back. The same fear that ruined them before. Still, destiny seemed determined to push them together. One evening after a long day of setting up event booths, Hannah offered to walk Mara to her car. The parking lot was quiet, the sunset turning the clouds a muted silver. As they reached the car, Mara paused, leaning gently against the door, watching Hannah with an expression that made her chest tighten. Mara asked how she'd been all these years. Hannah stumbled, unsure how to summarize 3 years of running from her own heart. She said she had traveled a lot, worked a lot, tried to build a new life. Mara nodded softly, like she already knew. She always had a way of seeing right through her. Then came the question Hannah feared more than any other. Why did you leave? Hannah felt something crumble inside her. The truth flooded out, the fear, the self-doubt, the belief that she wasn't ready for someone who loved so deeply, so sincerely. She told Mara she had been afraid she'd break her heart someday, so she left before she could. She said she regretted it every single day, that she wished she had been braver, stronger, better. And when her voice broke, Mara's eyes grew glassy, not with anger, but with a sadness too gentle to bear. Mara told her she had spent years trying to understand what she did wrong. She tried to move on, tried to forget, tried to heal. But the night Hannah confessed her feelings had stayed with her, the same way it stayed with Hannah. Their story, unfinished and unresolved, had haunted them both. In that moment, under the soft fading light, Hannah whispered the truth she spent years avoiding, that she still loved her, that she had never stopped. Mara didn't speak right away. She simply stepped closer and rested her forehead against Hannah's, letting the silence say everything. The second chance Hannah never believed she deserved was suddenly right in front of her. Over the next weeks, their bond slowly rebuilt itself. They took walks through Rockford's quiet parks, cooked dinner together in Hannah's small apartment, and talked about their lives, their mistakes, their hopes, their wounds. Mara forgave her, not because the past didn't hurt, but because love, real love, is patient enough to understand what fear tries to destroy. Hannah grew into someone steadier, someone who finally knew how to hold on instead of running away. And Mara rediscovered the warmth she thought she had lost forever. Their love didn't restart with fireworks. It unfolded in soft moments, gentle conversations, slow healing, shared laughter. They didn't rush. They didn't force anything. They simply allowed themselves to grow together again, stronger and kinder than before. As the fundraiser concluded successfully and life found a new rhythm, Hannah realized the storm in her heart had finally quieted. She no longer feared love. She no longer doubted her worth. And one evening, as they sat together on Hannah's balcony watching the city lights shimmer below, Mara intertwined their fingers and rested her head on Hannah's shoulder. It felt like coming home after a very, very long journey. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support encourages more emotional, healing stories like this one.